Parashat Lech Lecha. Difficult parasha. Difficult parasha. All these parashiot are loaded as usual, but this one, I don't know why, especially this year, I found it difficult. You know, it's like one of those things that you find, all of a sudden you realize you find it difficult. And I'm going to tell you something else also altogether. Sefer Bereshit is a difficult thing. It's not an easy reading. You know, it depends, of course, on what level. If you want to tell for stories for the kids or whatever. But if you're going to look at it, it's a very harsh sefer. It's very harsh. And why is it harsh? Because it places a mirror in front of the person to really see who you are. And that is not always a pleasant sight. You might be able to tell stories to the people, you might to play games with people and so on and so forth. But it's quite different when you look in a mirror. And the mirror is there reflecting on you. Just like anything time, you know, we can put like a nice tie and a nice shirt, baggy clothes, then you take your clothes, you know, the mirror thinks to break because it looks so bad. Sefer Bereshit does the same thing to you. And in a way, Sefer Bereshit exposes to us the fundamental problems that we have, both as a society and as human beings as well. There is somewhat of a comfort and a nechama in that sefer, but more of that, it has more than just comfort and so on and so forth. There is a certain opportunity for awareness for problems that we might not going to be able to deal with them unless we're going to start becoming aware of those problems, and then of course, you know, maybe we have a chance. Maybe we have a chance. So the first quarrel that we have in the Torah, in the Tanakh, in the Torah, in history of mankind, of course, is Cain veHevel, and this was an argument or a disagreement that they had between two opposing people, or different people, where Cain was a farmer and Hevel was a shepherd. And that dispute that they had was because, of course, we know jealousy, because God had answered, you know, or responded to the offering of Hevel and not for Cain. In a way, there's something similar in our parasha, in our portion this week, between one person, but however, this is between one shepherd and another shepherd. And it says the following, it says, V'gam leLot, and also to Lot, ha'olech et Avraham, who is walking not only with Avraham, et Avraham, in other words, he's trying to imitate Avraham. Hayatzon uvakar ve'ohalim, he had cattle, he had sheep, and he had tents. Velo nasa otam haaretz lashevet yachtav, and it was very impossible for them to be together. As they say in the West, and this town is too small for the two of us. Why? Why the Torah says ki aya rechusham rav? Because they had a lot of possessions. Listen, you know, I don't know about you. I lived in Israel. I was born there. For crying out loud, two people? I mean, what is this? Like a herd of buffalo in Montana or in the prairies? I mean, the whole land of Israel couldn't hold two people. That they had to fight. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. But it seems like the argument, the core of the argument, come because they had a lot of possessions. And because of that, lo pay attention, lo yachlu lashevet yachtav. They couldn't sit down together. It's not that the country was too small. There was something there between them that was different. And that description, when it says that the space was too, that open space could not carry both of them, as we said, together, right after that, of course, there is a description of a quarrel between people, right? So they couldn't sit together. First one, it was, they had weighed a lot of stuff. Then we started to argue. And as if we're going to go by the Brisker Mahalach, right? Between what we call the Chavtza and the Gavra, right? ויהי ריב בין רועה מקנה אברהם ובין רועה מקנה לוט, right? So Avraham Avinu solved that problem of the human problem by having the space. Vayomer Avraham el Lot, al tihi meriva bencha ubeni. Let's not fight between you and me. Uven ro'ai uven ro'echa, between my shepherd and your shepherd. And by the way, look at what Avraham is doing here. Avraham is taking responsibility. He say, beini uvencha, between me and you, not between you and me. He takes somewhat of a responsibility to himself. He doesn't want the guy to go like this, so he's being the man. And why it says, Ki anashim achim anachnu, because after all we are brothers. Halo kol haaretz lefanecha, hipared namen. I don't pay attention to what's going on here. And he says to him, Im small va'imina, im yamin va'asmila. If you're going to go left, I'm going to go right, and the other way around. So let's look at the chavtzah, the first description that we have there. According to that description, before the quarrel, a person couldn't take another person, could not tolerate another person in his own space. It was impossible. And after that, first they couldn't take one another, then comes the fight. By the way, this is not just between men and men, that's also between husband and wife and any other arguments. That is a blueprint for arguments. And of course, the fight comes, but maybe it could not come. It depends on how they choose to deal with it. And that reminds me of a part of something from the Gemara in Sanhedrin in Daf Zayin Amud Aleph. It says like this: one guy was saying to the other, "Keshe'ava beini uven ra'ayati hayta chazaka." When the love between me and my wife was strong, we were slept on a knife's edge. What does it mean? What's a knife's edge? It's very thin, right? So we slept like this, embraced one another. We were like sleeping like this, hugging one another, sharing a very small space. It says, but now that love is not that strong, mita shel shishim ama, a bed of 60 ama. 60 ama is how much?
120 feet.
No,
that's 4. Right?
60 ama. Every ama
foot and a half.
Is a foot. Okay, let's do 2.
Or
60
2
ama,
feet.
120. That's a 2.5. Let's say, in other words, as you could see from here, it's not that space. It's what has to do between the two people. Now that's why I told you. How many times I told you? That's why I tell you guys, of course, none of you want to listen because you know better. But you don't. If you're married, when you get somebody at the door?
No.
If you get married, when you get married, I recommend to you to try to move into the smallest apartment you can get your hands on. Move into a studio apartment. Get one together. You need to start worrying when there is no need for that. Let's say you have 2 kids and a poodle, and your wife says to you, "We need a bigger house." The answer is, why do we need a bigger house? Most likely love is going down. You should know that. If there is love, and I heard somebody, he was a Temani, the guy is a Temani, he was born, he's about 70-something years old. So he told me when he was a child, they live in Kerem Temanim in Tel Aviv, next to Shuka Carmel, like a dump. He said, we slept 8 kids and 2 parents in 1-bedroom apartment. He said, it was the best thing ever. He said to me, there was no room. We had to sleep on top of the beds and under the beds. Because the bed had legs. They slept under the beds. There was no room. But there was so much love that it didn't make a difference. And he said, there's no such time like this anymore. There's nothing like this anymore. So when you're young, when you just get married, try to find a small apartment. Studio apartment is perfect. Why? Let's say, for example, you get married, you look around, everywhere you look, your wife is going to be there. there is love, right? Isn't that? If you are not going to have this proximity with one another, and you're going to move right away to like a 3-bedroom apartment, hey, you're going to move right away to a 3-bedroom apartment, guess what? I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know how long it's going to last. So, the natural state of a person, and that has something to do also again between us and Hashem, is when there's no such love, right? There's no such big love. When there is no such big love, that's a normal situation between one human being and another human being, right? By the way, this is why we are obligated, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. It's not natural for us to love everybody. And that's something that we need to work on to develop that sensation of love, whether it happens between yourself and another Jew, between yourself and Hashem, and so on and so forth. It's not natural to love people. And love is not love. Love is something else. So it's not natural because you want to be alone. We want to be alone to a certain extent, but we don't want to love people. When we don't pay attention to that, we think you can live together. All of a sudden, you find yourself in too small of a space. The space is too much, and then you start fighting. You start fighting, so you move to a bigger apartment or something like this, but you're not solving the problem. You're just delaying the problem. Because even if you're going to have 5 bedrooms and you and your wife are going to be alone, you're going to find her, she's going to find you, you're going to fight. Space is not the problem. This is just the result. There is a deeper problem in terms of, and that's what people fight. Now, the solution that Avraham Avinu gave us is very simple. When there is such a great space, we have to separate. In other words, when we cannot tolerate each other, well, you know what? Let's separate. Let's go away. Let's break it. You're going to go right. I'm going to go left. Each one has his own space, and so on and so forth. However, you need to know one thing. This is not necessarily like this because there's a choice. Either you're going to solve the problem, or you're going to separate. Solve the problem and separate. So, of course, and we have many examples like this in the Gemara. The Gemara says in Baba Vatra, in the first daf, it says the following: Hashutafim sheratzu la'asot mechitza b'chatzer. We have partners that wanted to make a mechitza, a division, a fence, or whatever, in their courtyard. So what do? Bonin et hakotel. They have to build the wall. So in a Gemara there is a machloket whether the Mishnah is telling us that if they wanted to divide the yard, right, they have to build a mechitza, right, and they have to build it in the middle, or maybe that if they wanted to divide it, they have to build a mechitza. It's two different things. And you should know this is a very, very heavy price to pay when a person is not able to live with the other person. And that price is greater than most of us, and that price has a name. The price is loneliness. From loneliness, most people become very difficult and hard to deal with people. Very few people who can benefit from being in solitude, being lonely, or should I say alone. Very few people. Avraham Avinu is not so comfortable with that. He's afraid. He has no support system. He left his country. He's left his home. Now he's living Lot. They're going away. It's very, very difficult. Even if a person lives alone, completely alone, from time to time, he would like to have some kind of a connection. It's good in your fantasies, in the survival fantasies. Like, how do you call yourself? Doomsday preppers, live alone, Even in your wildest dreams of living alone in Montana like a mountain man, you want a little Pocahontas to be there with you, right? I mean, or Sacagawea or whatever you're gonna, or even what's in him, this guy, Bigfoot, one of the, you want somebody. Well, you want somebody. I mean, for example, by the way, I'm sure, I don't know if you, I'm sure, but I'm sure some of you heard about Kafka, right? You know Kafka, the writer?
Franz Kafka.
Very good. Somebody's intelligent here, right? So he has a book, it's called, if I'm not mistaken, The Village Doctor. Yeah, The Village Doctor. It's called, not The Village People, The Village Doctor. So he has there a very interesting description. He writes something like this. The person wants to be aware of changes throughout the day, or the weather, and so on and so forth, or what's going on in the world, etc. That's what he wants to see, and that's his words. He wants to see some kind of a hand that he can lean on, something that he could consult with. A person like this is not going to hold a long time without actually having a window. And by the way, pay attention. When they want to punish a person, the worst punishment that they're giving in prison is solitude. When there's no window and there's no way to tell if it's day or night, you're going crazy. Crazy. What's the name of this guy that looks like Yeshiva? Visos, right? You know this guy from YouTube. He put himself in a situation like this. He said he couldn't take it. He made an experiment. He couldn't be. It was going crazy. With not knowing what day it is. One of the things that happens to people in the north when they go all the way up to, Alaska over there, Mr. Alaska, and they go in the winter, you don't know what day and what night is. It's very difficult. That's why a lot of people in those countries drink a lot. Apropos drinking, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה bid'or.
Amen. Chaim.
מה איתך? מה אתה חתול? איפה? כהן. איזה טעים זה. ג'ורג'. C'est très bien.
Needs a little ice.
It's no ice. Anyway, so a person like this, he wants a window that's going to look to the street, and these are his words. If he comes to that, he's not looking at anything, but he's just an old tired man, just sits there in the window, is looking up in the sky. Eventually, where you been? The sound of the cars, the sound of this is going to make him look down to the street. Eventually you're going to look at the street, you want to see what's going on. I mean, that's what's going to happen. It's just natural for you to do so. So to be alone is not so good. Whether you want it or not, at the end you're going to want some kind of human harmony, to be in harmony with the people around you. And Sefer Bereshit describes us a very harsh picture of not human harmony, but disharmony. If you go through a whole entire Sefer Bereshit, it's all about human disharmony. It shows us the problems that we had with our families, problems that we have with, for example, as Jews, with the outside world, aka Tevat Noach arcs, and so on and so forth. Problems that we had with our community, with people that are close to us, Lot, company, and so on and so forth. It's a book of human disharmony. And why is it written like this? It's written like this so we will know what to do. Ribono Shel Olam told us this in the beginning in Sefer Bereshit. Lo tov heyot adam levado. It's not good to be alone. Most of us cannot deal with it. Of course, there is a question, and we already know that. Of course, it says in Masechet Sotah, everybody knows the famous statement that they say at weddings, right? It says, Rabbi Akiva says, Ish ve'isha, a man and a woman, zachu, if they had a schut, they merited shchina benehem. The heavenly providence is among them. Lo zachu, esho chaltam, they're going to be consumed by fire. In other words, the ish and the isha, the man and the woman, needs to understand that they need to create all the time harmony between them, to develop their love, because that is not a natural state. It is not natural for humans to love one another. That's why comes the Torah. And of course, one of the reasons, besides billions of reasons why that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us mitzvot is usually to tell us something that we would not be inclined to do. Comes HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us this, you are commanded of doing that. And one of them is ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You have to love your fellow Jew. Why should I love him? I don't like him. That mitzvah me'atorah. It's not natural. I should help my brother. This guy. I don't like this guy. It's like it bothers me. So okay, so he has a flat tire. What do I care? What do you care? Good. Now it's a mitzvah. Now you're gonna go help him. I don't want to help him unpack his donkey. We don't. Okay, pickup truck. Go help him. You need to go and help him. It's natural not to. Why should I do it? There is in sociology and psychology. There's a whole concept of what is called rationalism. To be a rationalist person. For example, do you want me to do something for you? Right? Not a problem. Why should I? Pay me. Pay me. Being rational. What would be my incentive to help you? You fell into a pit. You want me to help you? Sure, not a problem. How much are you willing to pay? What do I get out of it? Rational is a very, very non-Jewish way of living. That brings to a destruction of society. That's what we're experiencing now. We need to teach ourselves all the time to go the extra mile. So it says also, in Masechet Yevamot Davka Yudchet Amud Bet, it says, Tov milashevet, right? It's better to be lemeitav tandu mileitav armalu. It's better to sit two than to be like a widow to sit alone. It's not good to be alone. However, in other words, it's better to be, even if it's not the best situation, it's better to be with someone than to be all alone. Now, that of course will bring us to shidduchim. That will bring us to the case of shidduchim, getting married. Okay, she is not the perfect girl you had in mind. Clue number one. Change your mirror at home. Apparently it's broken and it's not working. Take a good look in the mirror. Take a good look at yourself. Okay, so but again, let's say that she is not the perfect person that you had envisioned in your mind and so on and so forth. Is it better to be alone? Are you capable of doing that? In theory, yes. Practically, no. That's why we say, o chavruta o mituta. Either have a chavruta to learn Gemara or to die. Learning alone is not learning. You have to be a part of something. You have to be a part of a shul. You have to be a part of a yeshiva where you're learning. And even if there is 100 chavrutot learning, everybody's learning a different masechta, and there's noise, you are part of something. You're not alone. That helps you to overcome, to develop, to care. When you learn alone, you sit down at home, you're going to fail. You're going to get frustrated. You're not going to learn as much and as well as you can. And I don't care who you are, unless you are the Gra. Okay? But most of us, unfortunately, are not like the Gra. And we need somebody to learn with. We need human interaction. Now you understand the importance of going to a minyan, to be a part of the society. And this is just the very beginning. Not even talking about being a part of a contributing society, or a society that you could contribute yourself to. What are you doing for your people? What are you doing for your neighborhood? You need to look for the opportunity to go and help. So Sefer Bereshit, right, is not really trying to make it easy on us and like make us feel good. He tells us the truth straight into our face. Straight into our face. In other words, either it's going to fit or you're going to be lonely. And it's going to fit if you're going to make it work. Don't come with your list of conditions. Well, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. It's not what you want. You should put everything, and that's when you go on a date, you should put everything on the table. And say, it's like people, let's say for example, we're eating, right? Let's say Yitzchak and I were eating. Say, Yitzchak, I'm hungry, you're hungry, you want to eat? Good. All right. So I'm going to have my little sandwich, he's going to have a little sandwich. Oh, let's put it together. Let's see what we have. And then, how do you call it? Like,
Potluck.
Potluck. Yeah, that's it. All of a sudden everybody's, it's nice. The importance of the olden days where people used to eat from the same pot brought people together. Today everybody is alone to his computer, to his telephone, and it's terrible. And we don't match. We're not even trying to take an inventory of what do we have to match or what we don't have to match. And then you marry somebody because you didn't bother to see, do we share the same values? Do we share the same word ideas? In other words, is our outlook in the world the same? Is there something to build on? We need to build. Remember the shutafim. They need to build it together. Bonim mechitza. They have to build it together. But if you have cinder blocks and I have regular, bricks, and we're trying to pull the wall together. Here, Mr. Construction, is that going to work?
No.
It's not going to work. Even if it were, you can say, you have to say no. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? So if there is love, and we explained to you many times what love is not a physical attraction or a result of some chemical reaction in your brain to seek a quick fix of dopamine. That's not what love. Love is beyond physicality. Love is something that is spiritual. Love is anybody wants to know what love is? I'm going to tell you. Love is the strive to become one with the other object that is in front of me. Whether it's my people, my friend, my wife, or my relationship with God. To become one. If I see that perud, that I don't strive to become one, there's a separation. I can't do this. I want to do one thing. God wants me to do one thing. So guess what? I'm out of here. Yeah, he'll wait for you in the corner. But I'm out of here. You want something, your wife wants something else. You want to go to work, your wife wants you to go to learn. Listen to your wife because you have to go to learn. When you want to be one, but there's no my money, your money. The worst thing you could do as a husband and wife is have separate bank accounts. My father told me that. He says, he said to me, what are you going to do the day after you're married? It's like, I don't know, is that a trick question? He said to me, you're going to the bank and opening a joint bank account. Everything that you have becomes hers. Together. It's your money now, not yourself, your money, you and your wife. And that's what I did. And I remember the clerk, when I came to the bank, he says, you guys are busy. You just got married yesterday. I said, last night. In the morning, we're already there. And I told my son the same thing. There's one. Everything becomes an instrument of building together. If not, there is separation. My bank account, your bank account, not good. Don't ever say to your wife, oh, your kids, or your wife tells you, oh, just take your kid, I can't deal with it. And your kid. Your kid means it's come from a different wife. What do you mean, your kid? It's our kid. Or you have partners. I'll do this, you'll do that. That's good if I'll do this, you'll do that. But don't say, well, he was supposed to do this, I had my job, I'm not doing it. Because you know what's going to happen? Your business is going to fall apart. It's going to fall apart. Maybe that's why sometimes it's not so good to have partners in your workplace. The word, by the way, people use, oh, she's not my wife, she's my partner. Oh, she's not my girlfriend, she's my partner. It's very bad. It shows no commitment. Because most people cannot work in a partnership. So now, and why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu, forget HaKadosh Baruch Hu for 1 second. I'm going to be too late, I'm not going to get to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But let me tell you something. Why did Avraham Avinu did not say, listen, mi casa, tu casa, akol tov v'yafeh, let's work it out, and so on and so forth. Why did Avraham Avinu tell Lot, listen, Let's try to work it out. There's a riv, there's a quarrel between us. And you know what? You take, whatever you decide. You go somewhere, I'll go somewhere. By the way, you see from Lot, where did he go? He went to Sdom. Sdom was not Bnei Brak. Sdom was like worse than Las Vegas. Which I don't see any reason why any of you should go to Las Vegas. Even if it's on the way to, unless you get off the plane because you got a cheaper flight and you go to Utah on a 4x4 trip, that's something else. But really, Las Vegas is not a place to be. Why? And because I'll tell you, למקום שאדם רוצה ללכת מוליכין אותו. You're going to be led to whatever you want to go. Don't blame circumstances. Blame your heart. You want to come to Bet HaMidrash? You'll be in Bet HaMidrash. You want to go to Be'er Shachat? You're going to Chaz v'Shalom, go to Be'er Shachat. You're going to end up exactly where you wanted to be. You caused that, they call it in the old world, law of attraction, but it's not law of attraction, that's shtuyot b'mitzak v'niyot. Law of attraction, the miracle, the secret, shtuyot, a lot of secret. You caused those things to happen by your actions. And why did Avraham Avinu say to Lot, listen buddy, let's cut it, let's break it loose. Why? Because the difference between Avraham and Lot, and as it seems between his shepherd, I don't understand. 1 second. If let's say, for example, Ari and I are we are working together. Ari has his crew, and I have my crew, but we are working together. So because our people don't get along, we should break our partnership. Because the shepherds did not get along. That's why they're going to separate. Doesn't make sense. Who's the boss here? Tell your shepherds, listen, shepherds, who's the boss here? You're going to do what I want you to do. And the same thing Avraham. Avraham knew that his people are good because he directed them in a good way. He influenced them. He was mashpia on them in a good way. The people of Lot were an extension of Lot himself. And what they did was not a fight. If we had a fight between husband and wife, let's say we had a thing, you do dishes, I don't want to do dishes, they have a fight. It's a stupid fight, let's make it up, let's try to work it out. However, when the problem is ideological, the problem between the Roim, the shepherd of Lot, and Avraham Avinu was not over one particular incident. The people of Lot, the shepherds of Lot, did it systematically. It's not like, okay, oh my goodness, we made a mistake. We went to somebody else's field. We ate his grass in his field. No, it was always like this. Let's find territory of somebody else. Why should I feed him in my grass? No, somebody else. Avraham Avinu says, this is not going to work. We don't share the same building blocks. That's why, with all due respect to your grandmothers or your mothers, they should not be involved in finding you your mate, wife or your husband. Because it's very simple. They're bribed. In other words, it's their son. They're never going to admit their son has a problem or the daughter has a problem. Have an outside, a third party. Why a third party? It's called a shatchan. Shatchan puts things together. He's the mediator. The same thing as HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. And in order to make one, and that's what happens today. People say, you know what? She's still my wife. He's still my husband. However, we live separated places. There's no such thing. That separated places will cause a break of the package. It has to be one all the time. I remember when my wife used to work so far away, sometimes she used to come home, they had board meetings, she used to come home at 1:30 at night. She had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. At 6:30 she was already out of the house. But I said to her one time, why don't you take it hotel room? She says, I'm always coming home and then I'm going to go back. And then I understood why. And that's the same thing. If there is God in your life, God is the core of condensation in which you could build your life as one. He's the core. If there's no God in your life, what are you going to build your life on? What is your life going to be revolving around? What values? Your values change. Today you like brunettes, tomorrow you like blondes. Today you like old ladies, tomorrow you like young ladies. What values you have? And that's the pshat of Rabbi Akiva. Zachu. They had this, why? How come you have a schut? What does it mean to have a schut? I rewarded something. Why did you reward it? Why is the reward coming to you? Because you worked, you put something in it. So in other words, when they put the effort to solve the problem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes between them. Shechina Shora. Comes the Shechina in between. However, when there is ideological problems, it's not going to work. And in this case, you go to New York, I'll go to Montana. Everybody wants to come. Do you understand what I'm saying? And of course, this is really long. I'm going. It's about half of what I want to talk about. But it's time to daven mincha. Arvit. So that's what I want to tell you. Never find b'shita, a system, excuses for your wrongdoing. Take yourself out of it. Take yourself out of the equation as an egocentric person or entity. So what can I bring to the table? Really, what are we fighting about? If it's something fundamental, don't fight. Don't fight. Just break it. And go as far as you can. If it's just an incident, work it out. Take yourself out of it. Work it out. Work it out. And you could see that after Lot separated from Avraham, and by the way, the whole entire Sefer Bereshit is all about separation. Cain separated from his parents. Avraham Avinu separated. Yitzchak separated. Yaakov separated. Yosef separated. Everybody separates. They're all going away. However, after the separation of Avraham from Lot, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, Acharei ipardo milot. After he separated, he says, I'm going to give you this land. Don't worry, you're not alone. I am with you. And I'm going to promise you this land. That is for a different time. I'm going to explain to you why. That's going to be the other half. Questions on this, Rabotai? Yes?